Hello everyone, this is In-Game Arts with another box, another offline product game review. This is Dead Cells Return to Castlevania Edition for the PlayStation 4, but this is being played and tested on my PlayStation 5. To jump right into it, this physical copy here comes with the update version 1.45 already on the disc, but sadly there was an update available. This update size was 2 gigabytes big and will take you to version 1.48 since the time making this video. Now, like always, I play all my games completely offline with an unregistered account, and I didn't experience any massive game-breaking bugs or issues. I did have minor few hiccups and little oddities here and there, but I will go into details in a little bit, but nothing that really prevented me from progressing. As well as that this physical copy here does include all current release expansions and DLCs on disc. I will go over what those are. Those are the Rise of the Giant, which is like a free bonus content update, which is on the disc. The Bad Seed, the Fatal Falls, the Queen and the Sea, and Return to Castlevania. All those DLC content are on disc at the time of this video. There could be more future updates and more DLC down the road, so just prepare for that. So at the time, this is the most updated and most complete version of Dead Cells on disc, which is extremely nice to see. It is far better than what the other releases they've done. But as well, I want to point out that I was still unlocking trophies with my unregistered account. Now, overall, I've talked about Dead Cells multiple times. I've done multiple unboxings of many variations and stuff like that. And well, I will go into details about a little bit more about that, but I want to talk about my experience real first. But before we go into that, I don't want to forget about this. My save file did transfer over from the vanilla version of the game. So if you have the PS4 version and the first release 1.0 Dead Cells version, my save file did transfer over to this one, so you will not have to start over. But that is with the PlayStation 4 version of Dead Cells, the vanilla, and this Castlevania edition PS4. I don't think it's going to really work if you get the PS5 version of Dead Cells Return to Castlevania edition. That save file transfer over probably won't work. But to go into it, there was some minor slight stutters here and there, like in terms of like the camera moving and sometimes like maybe loading environments or something like that. It was very minor and only happened a few times, but I did notice it. There was at times some long load times. This is oftenly when the game's first loading up a new asset into the main section of the hub area, if you will. Like, if you don't know, Dead Cells, every time you progress it, it's a roguelite, so every time you play, you unlock more content as you keep making your runs, and better runs unlocks more content. But eventually, the HUD world will change appearance quite extensively over time, and I can tell when the game is trying to load up this new assets and new stuff in the HUD world section. Sometimes that first loading time can be quite significant, so just don't freak out wondering why it's taking so long. But it is surprising considering this is on PlayStation 5 and stuff like that. I am curious about how well the loading times would be if you played a dedicated PS5 version of Dead Cells, the Return to Castlevania edition, but in my opinion, I mean, it wasn't that big of a deal. It just bear that in mind when the first time you play the game. There was some minor freeze up when you change your character's outfit in the outfit area. This can vary sometimes depending on what outfit. Is only mostly ones that vastly change the appearance. If it was just like a color change, it didn't really freeze up. But anytime there was like changing complete outfit, like completely like a new skin or new costume, the game would freeze up for a few seconds and then go right back into the game. So, I mean, that was just something to keep in mind as well. As well as that in certain areas like the Undying Shores, I did have some items that were in unreachable locations, so I could not reach this particular item. Thankfully, it was never like a key or important item. Most of the time it was just some minor item, or one of them was a gold item, but that wasn't like a key item. So just keep in mind you might still come across some items that are in unreachable locations. But after that, I did have the game lock up 2 times on me. This is during loading time and when it was loading into the hub area. Like when I'm if I died and it's reloading me back into the main hub section of the game. Like I said, sometimes that loading time could take quite long, and then the game would just lock up and I had to just basically hit the PlayStation button, close the application, and restart it back up. I didn't lose any progress off of that, but it did happen twice on me. I did, though, have the game once crash on me during a run, and thankfully the game autosaves quite frequently, so I didn't lose a lot of progress when the game crashed, but I did have it crash once on me. Now, I couldn't 100% complete Dead Cells, and I know some people would probably want that to fully test, but it's a roguelite, so there's a lot of replay value in terms of luck involved, where make sure you luckily can get good random number generator, good items, equipment, and stuff like that. So it would take me a very long time to try to beat it, but I did do the Castlevania expansion. I did make it to the final boss section. I beat the final boss 3 times. Not the final boss, but I've reached the final boss in the original Dead Cells when the game first came out. But I want to go into about that subject. If you're new and you're just starting into collecting and you're confused about so many physical copies of Dead Cells, currently at this time there are 4 different physical versions of Dead Cells. I will post images during I'm talking about this. You have the vanilla first release of Dead Cells, which you'll see a picture of it. This version only has the version 1.0 on disc, and there are no DLC on disc. So that is the first vanilla version of the game. There is also Dead Cells Game of the Year Edition, which you can see now. This is, again, base vanilla. They did not update the game. It's still the base vanilla version of the game and no DLC on the disc. But I do want to point out the first release and this Game of the Year Edition do come with a special art book that is available exclusively to both of those variants. So if you are a big fan of the game and you would like to collect every nook and item and stuff like that of Dead Cells, just keep that in mind. Those two, the original first release and as well as the Game of the Year edition, comes with a special art book. Now there's a special collector's edition called the Prisoners Collection or Edition, Prisoners Edition. And this one is like a special collection. It's like $120 or something like that. It will say Game of the Year Edition, but they apparently did update the disc on this Prisoners Edition, which is like 1.15. And there's really no reason to pick up this one unless you're a big fan of Dead Cells and you want all the knickknacks and collectibles and stuff like that, because it's like $120 at the time I'm making this video, so it's going to be quite expensive. And then you have currently the one we have now, Castlevania version, Dead Cells Castlevania Return to Castlevania Edition. This comes with the update version 1.45 and all the DLC on the disc. So if you're confused and wondering which versions you should get and why there's so many variables, there it is. There's a lot of new copies. If you're only interested in having the most updated, most DLC and everything like that, pick up the Castlevania edition. It's a phenomenal physical copy. Sadly, there is still a significant size update, which is just as big as the game itself on disc, which is very frustrating. I always hate seeing that, where games will have updates that are the size of the game itself or not bigger. That stuff irritates me. But at least this version does come with all the DLC and stuff on the disc. So it's not perfect, and there are hints and possibilities of more updates and more DLC down the road. So this Castlevania edition could become outdated pretty quickly, as it already is with this 2 GB update. But again, at least they did another physical release, because Dead Cells greatly needed it, because there is so much more extra content to these DLCs, these updates added to the game. Even at 1.45, there is so much replay value in Dead Cells. It is one of the kings of roguelites compared to Binding of Isaac and Enter the Gungeon. Dead Cells is right up there. So much replay value, so much content, so much fun to play. It has its own quirkiness and gameplay and designs and stuff like that I greatly like, and it's just enjoyment to play. And it's got some very good soundtracks, and I don't know, it's just one of those hidden little gem action games that you cannot overlook if you can get it on your shelf, or if you're not even interested in physical copy, you should definitely check out getting it on Steam or digitally or wherever you prefer to get a copy of the game, because it's just phenomenal to get on your shelf. As I said, I've talked about Dead Cells, and I don't want to beat around the same bush and everything like that of the same talk about the game. It's just a fast action, strategic almost. You got to plan out your items and what equipment you're going to use, and of course, obviously, everyone's going to have their different play styles and stuff like that, and their own favorite equipments to use. So you just got to find out what you prefer and what you're going to utilize as you do every run. And as well as you slowly get better and better and better, and then you unlock more higher difficulties, and it makes the game harder. And it's just a joy to play. I could spend a great majority of my time playing Dead Cells, Binding of Isaac, and Enter the Gungeon relentlessly, endlessly. They're phenomenal replay value games, and this Castlevania edition is a must-have for your collection. So, like always, thank you all so much for watching. Hopefully this physical copy video will help you in terms of your collecting, because it's well worth to get into your collection. And then I've just been enjoying playing this game so much, and I cannot overstate that you should really check out this game if you haven't already. It's just, graphically it's gorgeous, the gameplay is fast, fluid, and smooth. Though, I do want to point out one little annoyance, that the game, pretty much every jump in the game requires you to double jump. I did find that a little annoying coming back to the game. Like, every jump requires you to just double jump to reach it. At that point, you might as well just make the normal jump just the full, like, if you have to double jump for everything, you might as well just make the standard jump then a full jump. I don't know. That was the only biggest gripe, is how many times I had to hit the double jump button. But overall, phenomenal game. So thank you all so much for watching. Like always, I will leave links down in the description to this Castlevania version of the game. It's the one I recommend to pick up if you're only interested in getting the most updated, complete version of the game. So again, thank you all so much for watching this video, and I'll see you guys next unboxing video. Bye-bye!